Bill Lasek on Gumbo Live. We're talking about a game that I've been following for a couple of months, Bill. Basically, from our group on the Gateway and Filler Games, and also because you do a good job of promoting on the internet. You are the designer of Koi, and I'm curious, what's the story? What's the history behind your involvement with Koi? Where did this
Well,
come
I came from a really bad day at work and a great glass of whiskey.
from?
Um,
Okay.
so I had an epically poor day at work. My day job is I make bagels for a living. I run a bagel factory.
Okay.
Uh,
A New
Sometimes
Jersey guy who does bagels. Shocker.
completely I can't predict that. Whenever you run things, especially a factory that's got a lot of moving parts, sometimes those parts break, snap, and don't want to come back together again, and that happened that day. So we had a pretty rough day, and I came home, and my wife Jen, she's like, "You okay?" I go, "I will be. Um, I'll be out back. I have a koi pond in my backyard." And I went into the kitchen. I poured myself a glass of Jameson Black Barrel over a nice ice cube. Just sat. It was a nice summer day. Sat on the deck, just chilled by the pond. My koi fish are swimming. There's a little dragonfly flying over the water. And like 15 minutes later, like I got zen. The world got better. It was just awesome again. So like, you know what? Maybe it wasn't that bad. Work, yeah, it was a horrible day, but I don't have to go back there for a few hours, and I can just chill outside. So as I got calm, I just really started to watch the interaction that's happening on the pond between the fish moving and trying to like maybe snap at a bug that was getting a little too close to the water, or like a leaf falling onto the water and causing this cool ripple effect. So I'm a designer, so my mind started turning and seeing this watercolor-esque themed game start to appear, and then went inside. She goes, "You better." I go, "Yeah, but I need a pen and paper. I'll be right back again." And then I disappeared for a while longer, and then we had the first prototype.
Bill, you talked about, watercolor, and that's one of the first things that attracted me to this
Yeah,
game. These are the weather cards here,
yeah,
and hopefully I'm getting a good shot of them. They've got kind of that dreamy watercolor look on the front,
yeah.
but what really shows is on the back of the weather cards, and all of them have these dreamy watercolor inspired pictures. Were these actual watercolors, paintings?
They're all watercolors. So the artist, Christy Freeman Stark, she is a fine artist out of Chicago with her own gallery. Um, Fun story behind that: we tried to find the right art for the game because we always knew we wanted this really nice, gorgeous watercolor aesthetic to match the theme of the game. What ended up happening was we looked at every standard board game art location, like DeviantArt and a couple of other ones, and none of them really had what we were looking for. So we got desperate. We did what most people do: you
I
Google
love
it.
this one. Look at this thing, man.
Yeah. Um,
You
so
Googled
we
it?
Googled what. Kurt actually Googled watercolor koi, and then this picture came up that was so unique because it was watercolor but had crazy detail to it. And did some research, and he found out that she's a lady in Chicago, fine art gallery. It's like she's not going to be interested. This is, she's got her own shtick. And they're like, yeah, let's reach out to her. He did. She was like, oh, board game art. That sounds really fun. Can we do this? And she was like super enthusiastic about the project, and
Oh, that's great.
wonderful person. And she basically just knocked it out of the park with this game.
Thinking outside the box. I like that. So the koi art comes from not anywhere inspired by board game art, but what's really intriguing me is that Dr. Reiner Knizia always talks about how he designs the mechanics, sends it off to the publisher, they overlay a theme and the graphics and all that. And
Mhm.
there's Kurt. You've already got the theme, but he's involving you in the art and the production too. How does
Yeah,
that feel as a game designer?
it was amazing. I couldn't have hoped for a better publisher to sign with. Any future designers, Smirk and Laughter, if you got or Smirk and Dag, you have a game that could fit their line. He's definitely someone you want to work with. He
I
was
am curious.
supportive.
How did that happen? How did you guys hook up?
I've known Kurt for years. We met at a convention in Morristown, New Jersey, run by Double Exposure called Metatopia, which is a really
Metatopian?
big, yeah, it's a big prototype con. So all unfinished games, but it's everything from people on their first game design to companies like Restoration Games who are testing the Downforce expansion. So You have big names, you got new people to the industry, taking over the Hyatt in Morristown for a weekend and just prototyping the heck out of everything.
I got to throw the story in. Mike Henson from Elk Creek Games was here last week,
Okay.
and he also did a lot of demo work at Metatopia when they were doing Into the Trail in a couple of their games.
Mhm.
And as I was doing the show prep for last week's show, I grabbed a picture off of one of his Twitter feeds, and I'm looking at the picture really close, and there's one of the Gumbo guys. Adam Austin is inside the picture testing the game with Mike Henson. They didn't know each other. Apparently this is a great, Vinny and Avi do a great job of just bringing in all these designers and all these people like Adam who love playing demo games and prototypes and getting them together. You like the convention?
It's actually my favorite convention of the year. I like it better than PAX Unplugged or anything else, just because it is a very intimate convention where it's people that are super passionate about board games and helping make sure that they're as awesome as they physically can be. So you're basically playing games till 4 a.m. You get 2 hours sleep. You get up at 6. You grab some food and you're right back to testing people's games. People just want to jump in and help. And I've made more contacts through that convention than anywhere else.
So you bring a Koi to Metatopia. Kurt's over there at Metatopia. You already know him. Yep. How do you get to the next stage?
So he heard about Koi. He's like, oh, I'd like to see it. That sounds like fun. At the time, I didn't think it was a Kurt game because I only knew him as Smirk and Dagger. Sure. I always wanted to have a game in Smirk and Dagger, but this really didn't fit that bill. But I figured, Kurt's also a gamer. He wants to sit down and play a game. So he sat down and we played it, and it was like 12:30 at night on a Friday. And after we finished, Kurt just goes, I go, what are you thinking, Kurt? What's going on? He goes, it may be a fit. I go, for Smirk and Dagger? Sure? He goes, no, Bill, you don't understand. I'm doing an imprint now. We're going to be launching Smirk and Laughter next year in 2018. I go, what's that? Then he explains to me how he's branching his company into 2 parts. He's going to be a full-time designer, and now he wants a whole new range of games that invoke an emotional experience. And he goes, yeah, I think this might be it. You know what? Get me a copy that you can give to me at PAX. And then, so at PAX Unplugged last year, I was finalized testing with him and his team on a Fridays at 11:30 night. All this stuff happens late, apparently. And
with Jameson, that's what happens.
Yeah, there you go. And his team loved it. And after that was just a couple conversations, a contract, and a phenomenal production experience. After that, we have this game.
So, Bill, I've got a picture for you here. That's from Gumbo Game Night last Wednesday, I think, or the Wednesday before.
Cool.
Yeah, and that's Melissa over there in the corner, and it looks like Sagan at the top. And that's, you can't see me, but I'm at the bottom here. And we're doing a 4-player game. The first time I got to play with the Gumbo people over at our game night. Yeah. So give a quick brief overview for people over there that haven't seen the game played or don't know anything about it. What's the elevator pitch? How did you pitch Koi to Kurt?
Okay, so Koi is a pretty interesting take on action programming and hand management. So I played a lot of action programming games over the years, Robo Rally and the like. Sure. They're great games. They're fun. But they all have one thing in common. You're basically selecting a group of cards, and then usually simultaneously revealing them over time. And by the end of your 3rd, 4th, or 5th card, you're never doing what you wanted to do. You're in
that can be fun, though.
You're shooting wall. I mean, it's hilarious. It's fun. It's great. It's an awesome experience.
You're shooting the top of the train, and somebody's already left the train,
Or like ran into the pit in Robo Rally. I have no idea how many times I've done that.
Somebody always spends the entire game in Robo Rally within about 4 spaces of their start. You ever notice that?
I have, and that's exactly why I created Koi. So the problem I have in all those games is action programming sounds really cool, but you never really get to do what you want to do. So Koi. Sure. You're going to have a hand of cards. It's a set based on either the 1st or 4th player hand of cards. On your turn, you can play as many of those cards as you want. And you're going to be playing those cards to move your fish to and fro as it meanders through the water to try and...
By the way, I love these fish, Bill.
Oh, thank you so much. They're great, right?
I love them.
Printed. I mean, the production quality is great. But so you're going to be playing these koi fishes. They're going to meander through the water trying to eat dragonflies worth 3 points and frogs worth 1 point. But like I said, you can play as many of your cards as you want. but keep in mind, on following rounds, you're only going to get 3 cards. So if you spend a lot of cards in one round, you're going to have less options in the following round. Right. But the card you play is going to have a set. If it's a movement card, it's going to have a set of arrows that you're going to have to follow. So you're going to play a card. It's going to cause you to move in a certain way. So that's the action program. You're following the programmed card. But if it didn't end you where you want to go, you can play another card, and then you can play another card. So you have full control over your turn in an action programming game, which surprisingly is actually unique for that that mechanic. And the other thing in the game is, so like I said, as hand management, because you can decide how many cards you're going to play, because you're only going to get a limited number of cards on the following round. And then the other thing is, I wanted this to be a kinetic art piece. So as you play a game, you're going to create something by the end of the game that even if you lose, you can look down at the table and go, man, I created that. That's great. Even if you lost, you should have some kind of sense of accomplishment. And like this, it shows you, it's just these beautiful watercolor lily pads, and as they come on the board, cherry blossoms or the 3-dimensional frog meeples that are standing up.
Did she do any of the other art elements, like the board or the actual cardboard?
The board, the tokens, all those are hers.
Really?
Yeah, the meeple design, like the dragonflies and such, that was Kurt, because he's also a graphic artist. So he was able to do all that, but all the art is hers.
Hey, I got a shout out for you. So
Sure.
There are some questions on social media or on BGG about there's not enough room with these big giant fish on the score tracker. They don't really fit. And then I saw a tweet, I think that you did, or somebody from PAX, that showed, yeah, if you place them correctly with the fish kind of fish to tail, tail to fish, they actually do fit on the circles. That's brilliant.
Yep.
I didn't even notice that.
And it actually, the way you put it, you actually create almost, if you look at the board, the Zen Yin Yang almost looking fish swimming.
Absolutely.
That's basically how they go on that score tracker.
I did not know that until I saw them on social media. I said, because I'll admit, they don't seem to fit right, but that's because we think of them as normal meeples. Think of them as little fish with the yin yang swimming around in the koi pond, and everything works out great. So I know I noticed that you have a variant in there. Is this something that you recommend? You have the 6-card setup or the 4-card setup? What do you play whenever you're playing, Bill?
I play a full game whenever I play. The reason we created the short week, the 4-card setup, is sometimes you're playing with a larger group of 4 people. You don't have an hour to play a game. You want to play something in a half hour, especially if you have a team that's new to the game. I gave that as an option for people that don't want to sit down for a 45-minute game, an hour game, depending on your group. Or also, even in action programming, I've simplified it a lot, where it's literally following a couple arrows. There's less to think about. Sometimes people can take a lot of time still spatially orienting themselves, so I wanted to make sure that even for those groups, to make sure that the game never felt like it went too long. So based on how your group plays, I wanted the game to be able to end when it felt like it was the right time for a game to end, which is always important.
I've played it both with the 4 days and with the 6 days, and I'll tell you, I like the longer game better.
Yeah, because there's more stuff on the board too. And that's when you get that full art experience of that final game state. You there, BJ?
Out from Smirk and Laughter Games. He
there
developed. Yeah, are you back there?
Yeah, no, you paused for about a minute, so something happened, but you're back.
Okay. Yeah, we might have had a little server. Apologize on that. BJ from Game Gumbo here, Gumbo Live. I've got my guest Bill Lasek here, the designer of Koya, who it's just published out. It's out in retail now. Is that right?
Yeah, it is.
Yep.
We've sold through over half of the print run right now. It's on track to actually sell out at some point this year, maybe. And we're
so that's good news for maybe an expansion.
That is very good news for an expansion. We're working on one. I actually was testing that at the Unpub area at PAX with some really good feedback on it. So far, the people were excited about it.
What can you tell us about the expansion?
So it's going to be module based. So you can basically add things to the game as almost like you would add things to a pond if you had one in your backyard. It's going to add a couple different things. It's called Turtle and Iris. One of the things it's going to be adding is turtles. Turtles are going to become moving rocks that can meander through the pond and add these barriers that can periodically move, and they'll do a couple other things. It's going to add Irish flowers. In the picture you have, you see the lily pads. In my game, lily pads spawn dragonflies, which are points. The iris flowers are going to spawn fireflies, and they're going to act like magnets, because a firefly, when it blinks, it gets your attention. So things like fish or frogs that would eat fireflies, they'll immediately turn and face the firefly and move towards it. So you can use it to help yourself get towards something, or have one of your opponents start floating away from where they were trying to get to.
Very interesting.
Yeah.
That is, and if it's going to be in production, we're talking 2019 maybe?
We are debating that. 2019 is a possibility, if not 2020. Right now, we're basically making sure all the sales are there to support the expansion, but so far things are looking very positive for that.
Well, man, I got to give you kudos. You and Kurt are, you're always demoing the game. It seems like every weekend. You spend a lot of time at those game stores.
Yes. I'm actually later this month going to be going to Time Warp Comics and Game in Cedar Grove, New Jersey, to demo Koi there, and it helps to get the game out there by being there, showing it, supporting it, because then people see the designers playing it and they want to play it more, and that's really what gets people to get the game in their hands these days.
Well, I'm going to tell you, it's not going to stay in my collection, but the reason is our local game con that we started with 150 people last year, and we're going to be about 350 people this year. We're hoping to grow it to 500 to 1,000 over the next couple of years. It's called the Southern Board Game Fest. We call it SOBO for short. Yep. We have a little gumbo meetup during the convention. I think, Bill, and I'm not blowing smoke, I think this is the perfect game for that convention. We've got a good mix of experienced people and brand new people. So I'm going to actually, you were nice enough to send me a copy. I'm going to be donating my copy to our board game library.
No, thank you.
I want this to be on. We have one table that we call the Gumbo game area, and it's a bunch of games like Meeple Circus, Ticket to Ride, games that look amazing on the table that you can teach in a couple of minutes and can get people that are new to the hobby right into the gaming, but also that experienced gamers would have fun. And I think Koi fits that perfect. So
thank you very much for that. I appreciate that.
I can't wait to get it. It's going to be one of the featured games on our table, and I can't wait to see people enjoying it, because I love the way the fish look, and I find it's a game that I like more and more the more I play it. So it's a game that rewards more opportunities to play.
Yep, especially because you learn the strategies as things go on.
Chris Strain checking in, our friend Christian Strain, who is, as you know, Bill, the designer of Asking for Troubles and an amazing graphic designer and artist. If you haven't seen his social media, you got to follow him, because he's always doing these crazy
Hey, Chris, thank you very much.
I don't know how Chris does that, but he says, Koi, saw this at BGG, looked beautiful. We did. We saw it at BGG.